Good day to you, ladies and gentlemen, all listeners and viewers across the world, especially subscribers to my channel, where I dish out educational materials that are useful to all people. This is another series in our ongoing lectures on public administration. Today's topic is Nigerian Civil Service, the philosophy and evolution. You could have come across in history that Nigeria as a country never existed until the European colonization took place, and that was the origin of introduction to our system, what we call civil service. Civil service is an act of civil people serving the nation, but in the traditional parlance, the Yoruba, the Igbo, the Hausa, and all the ethnic groups existed independently before we came in contact with European colonization. And this is called traditional political administration. The various people and ethnic groups that made up Nigeria today were politically independent of each other before. Ethno-political groups such as the Yoruba, Igbo, Hausa, Fulani, Junkun, TV, Nupe, Kalabari, Ibiobio, Yoruba, and others were living independently of each other group in terms of political organization and administration, like I said before. For instance, the Yoruba traditional political administration centered around the town Ilu, which their Oba, which is king, at the helm of the administrative affairs. He had a council of chiefs made up of quarter chiefs. The Bashorun was the prime minister, the head of the council of chiefs, while the Are Ona Kakanfo was the head of the army. The town had a judicial system right from the family level to the quarters, and at the apex was the Oba, who had power over life and death. In the same way, the Hausa, Fulani, TV, Igbo, and others had their own elaborate administrative system ever before the era of colonization. In general, the respective administrative system, besides judicial administration, conduct of wars, and maintenance of law and order, they also perform the function of collecting taxes, carrying out community projects such as construction of markets, bridges, and maintenance of market squares and streets. Colonial contact and indirect rule. European colonial contact with the pre-colonial people of Nigeria started in the 14th century. First by British explorers who wanted to find out about River Niger, and later followed by Christian missionaries who brought the gospel. Subsequently, the British administrators arrived and effective occupation started taking place. The area called Nigeria today was allocated to Britain at the 1884-85 Berlin Conference. The mode of administration met on ground by the colonialists were not comparable to what was obtainable in Europe, and consequently, it was labeled traditional administration to reflect its non-conformity with modern administrative system that obtained in Britain. Therefore, the system had to be discarded. Britain had the difficulty of putting direct administration on Nigeria for the problem of shortage of personnel and language barrier, among others. She therefore had to introduce indirect rule system by making minimum use of British administrators, while traditional chiefs were put in the forefront of the system, officially also referred to as native authority, a form of rudimentary local administration. The rise of modern local government system began in the early 1950s. This was as a result of unrelenting criticism of the indirect rule system by nationalists. Before this period, in a constitutional reform, the 1946 Richard Constitution introduced the civil service at the central level, while the Foot Commission was set up in 1948 by the colonial governor to provide modalities for the Nigerianization of civil service, a process which continued till 1960, when Nigeria had independence. In essence, the Nigerian public administration as known today was a colonial creation. Era of Nigerianization and independence. Effective Nigerianization of the civil service did not take place until Nigeria attained independence in 1960. The top positions of the service at the federal and regional levels were occupied by the expatriates. The 4 existing civil services, and later 5 when Midwestern region was created, embarked on a much more drastic Nigerianization drives, though with varied speed at the regions. There was also restructuring of the services, to suit the needs of the federal level and this region. The major character of public administration in the country today can therefore be summarized as follows. It has a foreign origin, having been a British colonial legacy. The most prominent concern of the colonial administration was the maintenance of law and order, so as to provide a conducive atmosphere for their stay and continuous economic activities. Another concern was the exploration, exploitation, and appropriation of the country's natural resources, which were their primary motives for colonizing the country called Nigeria. Also, very little numbers of Nigerians were allowed to join the service, as increasing recruitment of Nigerians into the service was facilitated only when we decolonized the country. Nigeria inherited the British style of personnel management. Also, the country inherited the British pattern of public service with the basic and enduring characteristics, e.g., principles of hierarchical structure, permanent tenure, impartiality, political neutrality, and anonymity, etc. Characteristics of Nigerian civil service. The civil service shares similar characteristics with the British model since it was its creation. What are these characteristics? They include the following. Number 1, hierarchical structure. Nigeria's civil service is vertically structured with a flow of positions from top to bottom, with different layers of positions. The chief civil servant is the head of service, to whom all other top civil servants in each cadre reports. He carries out the posting of top civil servants in each ministry. The permanent secretary occupies the apex position, followed by directors, deputy directors, assistant directors, chief principal, senior, higher, and other personnel in that cadre, down to messengers, gardeners, cleaners, and gatemen. Communication flow follow the same upward, downward, upward order. The civil service also has a horizontal structure indicating the different job division in each ministry. Each ministry is structured into departments, units, sections, divisions, and field offices. The permanent secretary coordinates all departments in the ministry. Directives follow both the horizontal and vertical order. Number 2, written rules and regulations. The civil service relies on written rules and regulations for its daily duties. In this regard, the service relies on the general order and financial instructions to guide it. The general order contains the guiding laws and professional ethics for civil servants. Civil servants are not expected to operate outside the laws. Besides the general order, there are other regulatory instruments that can be found in the successive reforms by the regimes. Number 3, impartiality principle. Civil servants are by regulation not expected to be partial or show undue favoritism in the performance of their official assignments. This is so because they are being paid from the taxpayers' money, whom they cannot afford to discriminate against. The service is therefore considered to be epitome of fairness and justice. Number 4, political neutrality. Civil servants are not expected to engage in partisan politics. They are no servant to any party in power. Therefore, if civil servants are members of the opposition losing party in the election, they cannot be loyal to the ruling party and will not be loyal or committed to the execution of the party policies. Civil servants are therefore expected to be neutral and insulated from partisan party politics. Number 5, principle of permanence. Civil servants enjoy permanent tenure. Their job is guaranteed until retirement age. Civil servants can only be fired before attaining retirement age if they commit any serious crime, but they are allowed to take voluntary exit from service. The service is only guaranteed if civil servants remain loyal and politically non-partisan while abiding by the law. Number 6, principle of anonymity. Civil servants are expected to do their job like loyal servants. They are neither supposed to be heard, praised, or blamed on governmental policies. They must not talk to the press on official issues or express personal opinions unless so directed from above. They do not take blame for the failure of government policies, and neither are they praised for their successes. The minister or commission is the chief policy maker and official spokesman of government in each ministry. He therefore takes the blame or praises on official issues as the case may be.